Go. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting, including the annual meetings of the Columbia Council, the members of the Columbia Association, as well as the organizational meeting of the Columbia Association Board of Directors for tonight, May 14th, 2026. As a reminder, there will be 3 interrelated meetings tonight. The first 2 meetings, the Columbia Council and meeting of the members of the Columbia Association, are largely administrative and we'll describe them as they take place. For folks who are here tonight to participate in Resident Speak Out, that will take place during the organizational meeting of the Columbia Association Board of Directors, which we are scheduled to begin in about 20-ish minutes or so after the 2 administrative meetings. So thank you in advance for your patience. And I also want to note that I'm calling the meeting of the Columbia Council to order as the FY26 chair. We will conduct tonight's meeting in alignment with CA's Board Code of Ethics, Civility Policy, and Robert's Rules of Order. Finally, a reminder that the Columbia Council members are appointed by the 10 respective villages. The qualifications and eligibility requirements are set by those respective villages from which members are appointed. And with that said, I will now call the roll of the Columbia Council members in attendance. Reg? Here. Karen? Here. Wes? Mike? Here. I'm sorry, Galibersich. Oh, we got 2 Mikes and 2 Seans, everybody. Eric? Here. Delilah? Here. McGarity? Here. Bill?
Still one Bill. Here.
Ashley?
Here.
And I am here. That is 9 present, 1 absent. All right, as a reminder to everyone joining us in person that the audio and video of tonight's meeting are being broadcast live to YouTube and will be available for review later this evening. Anyone using the link to the meeting on CA's website will be able to see and hear the proceedings. If you haven't already, please silence any phones or other noise-making devices. And for board members, just a reminder to turn your mic on when speaking and off when not. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I heard a motion from Mike Galibersich. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Eric. Is there any discussion? Okay, the motion on the floor is to approve the agenda. Motion by Mike, seconded by Eric. A vote yes will pass the agenda as presented. Reg?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Mike Galibersich? Eric?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
Mike McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That's 9 in favor. The motion carries. Is there approval of the minutes from May 8th, 2025?
So moved.
I have a motion from Eric. Is there a second?
Second.
From Bill, any discussion on the minutes from May 8th, 2025? All right, the motion on the floor is to approve the minutes from May 8th, 2025 as presented in the packet. A vote yes will approve them as presented. Reg?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Galibersich?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. Again, 9 in favor, no oppositions. Is there a motion? We're on item 4, appointment of the Columbia Council Chair and Vice Chair. Is there a motion to approve the resolution for the appointment of Chair and Vice Chair of the Columbia Council as presented in the packet?
So moved.
I have a motion from Mike and a second from Ashley. Any discussion? Hearing none, again, the motion on the floor is to approve the resolution as it was presented in the packet for the appointment of Chair and Vice Chair for the Columbia Council. A vote yes will approve the motion as presented. Reg?
Yes.
Sorry, Karen?
Yes.
Mike Galibersich?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That is, again, 9 in favor. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Columbia Council?
So moved.
That is a motion from Mike,
Second.
from Ashley. Is there any opposition from the Columbia Council? Hearing no opposition, the meeting of the Columbia Council is now adjourned. We will reconvene at 7:10, so in 5 minutes, we will reconvene for the members' meeting. So 5-minute recess for folks that are with us.
You just go by G.
No. Second.
All righty, and now, good evening again. Welcome to the annual meeting of the members of the Columbia Association, tonight, May 14th, 2026. I'm calling the meeting of the members of the Columbia Association to order as the FY26 chair. Sorry, we're working on volume in the back. Yes, I see staff that are addressing that. Thank you. I'm calling the meeting of the members of the Columbia Association to order as the FY26 chair. We will conduct tonight's meeting in alignment with CA's Board Code of Ethics, Civility Policy, and Robert's Rules of Order. I also want to share that in preparation for tonight's meeting, the FY26 board leadership held comprehensive discussions with both the President and CEO and CA's General Counsel to ensure that Columbia Association complies with the charter, bylaws, as well as Howard County and Maryland laws. At this time, I will now call roll. Reg?
Here.
Karen?
Here.
Galibersuch?
Here.
Eric?
Here.
Delilah?
Here.
McGarity?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Ashley?
Here.
Wes is here via proxy. He submitted a proxy, and I will be voting on his behalf as stated in his proxy statement. So present, and I am here as well. Okay. So as a reminder to everyone, we are still recording both audio and video for folks who are in the room. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
First by Mike Galibersuch. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, I heard a second from Reg first, I think. Any discussion? Okay, we will go ahead and vote on the agenda as it was presented. A vote yes will pass the agenda. Reg?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Galibersuch?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I will vote yes. So that will be 10 in favor, no oppositions or abstentions or absence. Okay. Is there any objection to the consent agenda as presented? Hearing none, the consent agenda stands, so those minutes from the May 8th, 2025 annual meeting are approved. We now move on to item 4, which is election of directors to the Board of Directors. Is there any motions? Mike?
I'll move to approve the motion as presented in the packet.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ashley. Any discussion? Eric?
According to our charter, our charter, the 7th article, part 3 states, at the corporation's annual meeting, the members of the corporation then office shall elect each Columbia Council representative as a director and member of the corporation. Therefore, Reg Avery should be on there, Karen Emery should be on there, and myself should also be included as directors in the resolution.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
So I'm going to make that motion to add them.
Second.
Okay. So you're making an amendment to
So
this.
I make an amendment to fill in the blanks, to fill in Reg Avery under Village of Long Reach, Karen Emery under Village of Oakland Mills, and Eric Greenberg under Village of River Hill.
Okay. I'm gonna. So I have a statement that I need to read, so I need to get through this. So I'm going to ask if folks would let me finish reading this statement. I would appreciate it, and so that we can have decorum and civility in this space. So I am making a ruling under section 1.08 of the bylaws, which grants the chair authority over questions touching the qualification of voters and the acceptance or rejection of votes. I am chair of this meeting pursuant to the bylaws, which specifically direct me as chair of the board of directors to chair this meeting. 3 individuals have indicated that they intend to participate in this election of directors tonight: Eric Greenberg, Karen Emery, and Reg Avery. I'm ruling that each of them is disqualified from participating in votes related to their election as a director, and any votes they attempt to make in that regard are rejected. As chair of the board, specifically directed to chair this meeting, I must observe my fiduciary duties under the law. as a fiduciary of the corporation, I believe that the appointment of Mr. Greenberg, Ms. Amory, and Mr. Avery to the Board of Directors is contrary to the best interests and indeed harmful to the organization. You have to be aware that those persons were previously the subject of an ethics investigation. You are aware that persons were previously the subject of an ethics investigation pursuant to the Ethics Panel Charter. That investigation by the Ethics Panel made various findings of fact and concluded that those individuals violated the Code of Business Conduct and Policies and breached their fiduciary duties to CA. Those conclusions, we're not doing this again, friends. If there's another objection, you will have to be removed. We're not continuing to do this. We have this on YouTube that is being publicly streamed, and if you want to watch it that way, you can, but we're not doing this.
The rest of Columbia realized what was going on here.
Those conclusions were made and they are public. As chair, I must recognize that the elections of individuals as directors who have been found by independent attorneys to have violated their fiduciary duties would present. We're going to take a recess. We're taking a 5-minute recess. We're done. All right, I'm going to bring us back from recess. Again, we have, sorry, is the speaker up in the room? Okay. We have business to conduct. I would like to keep people in this space because I think that that's fair, but we have business to conduct, and we can't conduct that business if the decorum in this space does not allow for that business. So again, I'm going to ask everyone to be mindful and to allow us to conduct that business. And if we can't, we will have to take action. And it's not going to be fair because we're just going to have to remove individuals that continue to disrupt the space, and that's unfortunate. But we have to do our business tonight. So I hope that, one, you at least understand that in principle, and two, we can all agree that civility is a good thing and can help us move forward, and we need civility in this space. So thank you for your understanding and for listening. I'm going to continue reading where I left off and try to back up so folks have context. Those persons were previously the subject of an ethics investigation pursuant to the ethics panel charter. That investigation by the ethics panel made various findings of facts and concluded that those individuals violated the Code of Business Conduct and Policies and breached their fiduciary duties to CA. Those conclusions were made and they are public. As chair, I must recognize that the elections of individuals as directors who have been found by independent attorneys to have violated their fiduciary duties would present a clear and present danger to the organization. In good faith, they cannot be seated as directors. These conclusions are indeed independent of any action previously taken by the board of directors or the members with respect to the ethics panel report and recommendations. There are multiple other grounds to support for the decision. Because of the pending litigation that these three individuals have filed against CA, however, I will not be commenting further on this matter. So again, we are on the main motion, which is the resolution as it is presented in the packet. Is there any other discussion?
Point of order, I made an amendment to the motion.
And I seconded it.
And that amendment is not recognized. And yeah, it's not recognized.
Point of order? Our charter states that each member is entitled to one vote, and I assume each member is entitled to make motions and amendments based on our charter. So I don't see why the amendment is not being recognized.
Okay, we can do the amendment, fine. So, sorry, hold on. The amendment that you presented was to allow for the three of you, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and what I am trying to say is that because of the provisions that I just read and cited, you're not eligible to cast those votes, so I will not permit that amendment.
Well, point of information. So our charter is very clear. Our charter says under Article 7, Section 1, the members of the corporation shall be the Columbia Council representatives. So we are members, and in fact, you introduced us as members to this meeting. And as provided, each member shall be entitled to one vote. So we are members, we're entitled to one vote.
Is there any other discussion?
And I want to point out something else too. Under Section 3, under the same article, Article 7, at the corporation's annual meeting, the members of the corporation that in office shall elect each Columbia Council representative as a director. So that doesn't really give us any wiggle room.
Is there any other discussion on the motion as it's presented? Okay, hearing none, the motion as presented was to adopt the resolution as it was presented in the packet. A vote yes will pass that motion as it's presented. Glebersuch?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley? Yes. I vote yes, and via proxy, Wes votes yes, so that will be 7 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention, 0 absent, 3 ballots not casted. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn the members of the Columbia Association?
So moved.
Motion by Mike, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any opposition?
I'll be opposition.
I oppose it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I oppose it too.
We'll call the roll for a motion to adjourn. Mike,
Yes.
Delilah,
Yes.
McGarity,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
I vote yes, and Wes by proxy votes yes. That's 7 in favor. The meeting is adjourned.
We are
at
entitled to vote, Colin.
7:27.
The three of us
The
are still
meeting's over.
entitled to vote.
They're not going to listen to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We will begin the next meeting for the CA Board of Directors. We'll start at 7:35. Thanks. All right, finally, we are now on the organizational meeting of the Board of Directors. Again, I'm calling the meeting of the Columbia Association Board of Directors to order as the FY26 chair. As a reminder, tonight's meeting will be conducted in alignment with CEA's board operating procedures, code of ethics, our civility policy, and Robert's Rules of Order. Board members will be recognized up to 2 times, with priority given to those who haven't yet spoken. To help us stay aligned with our civility policy and maintain an orderly discussion, please direct all remarks through the chair rather than to one another, and refrain from personal or derogatory comments about other board members. Let's continue to engage respectfully, stay focused on the agenda, and work toward productive outcomes for our community. I will now call the roll. Galibersuch?
Here.
Delilah?
Here.
McGarity?
Here.
Bill?
Here.
Ashley?
Here.
I am here. Sean?
Here.
All right, very good. A reminder to everyone in the room that we are still recording both audio and video in this space. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there, motion by Mike Galibersuch. Is there a second?
Second.
Bill, is there any discussion on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will now vote to approve the agenda as presented in the packets. Galibersuch?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
Mike McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That is 6 in favor, no opposition. All right, we will now move to residents speak out. One moment. Resident Speak Out is a time for residents to offer constructive, respectful input on the issues before the board. I ask that everyone follow our Code of Business Conduct and Civility Policy. Personal attacks, defamatory remarks, or discriminatory language will not be tolerated. Speakers who violate these expectations may be asked to stop, forfeit their time, or face restrictions at future meetings. Those who persist in spreading false information or acting uncivilly may be interrupted and corrected by the chair. Thank you for helping us maintain a space for productive and respectful conversation. And lastly, we ask that all speakers to please submit your comments through the Resident Speak Out form online. I'm also planning to announce 3 speakers at a time so that we move as orderly and quickly as possible. We also have on the screens the order for Resident Speak Out tonight. So the first 3 speakers that we have for tonight are Alan Klein, followed by Brad Butler, followed by Kevin McDuffie. Alan? And Alan is, I believe, here for a group.
Coalition for Columbia's Downtown.
Very good.
Alan Klein, Wood Elves Way, Harper's Choice. What I was wanting to say should have been said 20 minutes ago. You all did what you did. And this is certainly the most shameful period in Columbia's history that I've ever been. It's the most shameful period of Columbia's history that I've ever seen. And I've been around Columbia since 1972. As somebody in the audience remarked to me, Jim Rouse would be having a heart attack if he was still here. And as somebody else said, welcome to Trump's Columbia, where you create policies and procedures and accuse people of things that you then go ahead and do. It's abundantly clear that this decision you all made violates the charter. The charter is immensely clear, black letter, as they say. The corporation shall be governed, Mr. Kuchno, shall be governed by a board of directors which shall consist of the members of the corporation. And those 3 are members of the corporation. They sat here as members of the corporation. You can't take that away from them. And the members shall be the Columbia Council representatives. No policy can violate the charter. If a policy violates the charter or the bylaws, that portion of the policy is null and void. I'm not a lawyer, but Everybody can see that. Should be incontrovertible. You all acted with disregard to the residents. You disenfranchised not only the 3 villages whose members you kicked off, but you disenfranchised every resident in every village that had an election for CA rep, because you did your underhanded, behind-the-scenes action in the middle of an election without letting anybody know it was happening, without letting anybody know it was possible to happen. And that means that in my village, Harper's Choice, over 200 people voted without knowing that their representative was planning to participate in this charade. That's unacceptable. That means you disenfranchised. Now, maybe some of them would have said, oh, no, we approve of it, that's great. I'm betting on the people of Columbia, they would have said no. They would have said, no, that's unfair, it's undemocratic, it's potentially illegal, violating potentially the Maryland Homeowners Association Act that prescribes what can happen in closed meetings. Nothing about what you did was eligible to occur under a closed meeting. It's not a personnel matter. I looked it up. Boards of directors members are not personnel. You can't have a closed meeting on personnel about a board of directors. It does say in the charter, I think it's the charter, that you can have a closed meeting to talk about officers of the corporation, but those 3 were not officers of the corporation. None of them was president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. They were directors, not personnel, not officers. There was no way you could do that legally in a closed meeting. You're getting horrible legal advice. Horrible legal advice. And not only that, you're violating the principle of fairness, civility, everything you talk about that you claim you stand for to the citizens of Columbia. We judge actions by 2 things. We judge actions by the content of what the decision was, what the action was, and the process that that decision was undertaken. You messed up both. The process was bad, and the content was worse. It's unacceptable. It does not match Jim Rouse's Columbia. Thank you.
Alan. The next speaker is Brad Butler. Following Brad will be Kevin McDuffie, and following Kevin will be Jacqueline Campbell. Brad?
Thank you, guys. Brad Butler, Owen Brown resident. Will do. Thank you. The behavior outlined in the ethics panel's 82-page findings is well below the standard that I would expect from someone entrusted with a $90 million budget, 1,400 employees, and the vast web of resources. The behavior outlined in the 82-page findings is well below the standard that I would expect from someone entrusted with a $90 million budget, 1,400 employees, and the vast web of resources that CA owns and operates on our behalf. Thank you to the board for doing the right thing to protect the association. I wish those who were removed the best. I understand the instinct to fight back against the consequences of having your worst behaviors brought to light so publicly. But to defend or condone that behavior misses the forest for the trees. It harms the community, costs the community money, and puts the association at risk. The best thing that they can do for the causes that they care so deeply about is to move on. Support their villages and appointing new representatives who will treat the role with the seriousness and collaborative spirit that it requires. Good governance requires long-term focus, professionalism, and a willingness to work through real-world constraints and competing priorities. Good governance, frankly, is boring. Rather than drive away senior staff, this board retained and rewarded strong leadership. Rather than make immediate demands with long-term consequences, this board began long-term planning for the first time in years. Rather than demand subservience, this board rewards competence in its executive leadership. Columbia is an incredible community, and I'm very proud to have chosen it as my family's home. The boring, unglamorous work this board does behind the scenes to run this association is setting us up for a bright future. Stay focused on that work and keep going. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Kevin McDuffie, then Jacqueline Campbell, and then after that will be Nancy
The
McCord.
mic stand.
Kevin, oh, that's yours now. Oh, is Kevin virtual? Okay.
I don't see anyone.
I don't know if we see Kevin on.
He might not have wanted to hang on to this.
Kevin, are you with us?
We'll come back
Okay,
to him
we'll
again.
come back if we can get Kevin online. So we're going to go to Jacqueline, and then it'll be Nancy, and then Ginny Thomas. Jacqueline?
Virtual too.
Oh, is Jacqueline online as well?
I don't.
Do we, anybody? No Jacqueline? Okay. Nancy McCord? Is Nancy in the room? There, okay, very good. So we'll have Nancy McCord, followed by Ginny Thomas, then Sheldon Richter. Nancy,
Thank you.
for a group, 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Nancy McCord. I live in Wild Lake, and I'm here tonight because many members of this community feel unheard, dismissed, and increasingly concerned about the direction this board is taking. First, I want to address the removal of 3 elected board members. Whether people agreed with those individuals or not is not the point. The point is they were elected by their community. The voters, the residents, made that decision. No board should believe it has the right to override the voice of the electors simply because it disagrees with them. When elected representatives are removed without clear transparency and accountability, it damages trust in the entire governing process. It sends a message that the opinions of residents only matter when they align with the board's preferences. This is not healthy leadership, and this is not how a community should function. Second, this board continues to ignore the overwhelming concerns from residents regarding our pools and splash pads. That's really annoying. I wish you'd stop. Families in this community have spoken, and it's rude. Families in this community have spoken repeatedly. They do not want to lose pools and replace them with splash pads. Pools are not just recreational facilities, they are gathering places. Places where children learn to swim, where families spend summers together, and where neighbors build community, a la James Rouse. A splash pad is not an equal replacement for a pool. Residents have said this clearly and consistently. Yet instead of listening, the board appears determined to move forward anyway, at great expense. Why ask for community input if the community's answer is ignored? Leadership is not about forcing through unpopular decisions. Leadership is about listening, responding, and representing the people who pay for and use these facilities. And finally, there are serious concerns about spending. Residents are watching fees rise while seeing money spent in ways that do not appear to benefit the broader community. At the same time, salaries are growing to levels that exceed comparable positions in surrounding communities. People are asking a very reasonable question: where's the financial responsibility? Families in this community are tightening their budgets every day. They expect the same discipline from this board. They expect transparency. They expect priorities that reflect community needs, maintaining amenities people actually want, protecting property values, and spending responsibly. The pattern we are seeing is troubling: ignoring voters, ignoring residents, ignoring financial concerns. This is why people are frustrated. This board works for the community, not the other way around. Tonight, I ask the board to do 4 things: restore transparency and respect for the electoral process, listen honestly to residents about preserving our pools, exercise responsible financial stewardship with taxpayer and homeowner money, and 4, communicate, communicate, communicate. That is the #1 job of a CA board member, to keep their community informed of what is happening while it is happening, not after the fact. This community deserves leadership that listens instead of dictates, represents instead of dismisses, and serves instead of controls. I was on this board for 8 years, and I know what it is to listen respectfully to people who come up and take their time to come to the board and speak. I would hope that you've all learned a lesson, Ashley, about how to be respectful listening to the residents.
Next up is Ginny Thomas, followed by that will be Sheldon Richter, and then Jillian Crane. Ginny?
Okay, thank you. I'm just putting a tea bag here, and, well, I guess it's gone. My name's Ginny Thomas, and I was a CA board member for probably 7 years and vice chair of the board. When I first got on the board only allowed the residents to speak out about issues that were on the agenda, and I couldn't understand that, because then we weren't going to be able to listen to people on joining the Paris Accord or dealing with mothers with, the gun issue, gun safety issue. We weren't allowed to do that, so I moved and got that changed where residents could come and speak on any topic, because this is why they want you to help them out. They do pay taxes and they expect you to listen. So that was a big change. But what have you done? What you've done is change that. You voted to turn the advisory committees over to the staff. Instead of having them present to you, you'd learn more about what all your volunteers are doing, maybe get some ideas about how you could do a better job on the board. That valuable feedback is lost to the board, and you don't seem to care. And many of these committees have disbanded. Reduce the number of board meetings that allow residents to speak out, thus fewer opportunities for residents to speak out. That was deliberate. You really give the impression you do not want to hear from residents. Held so-called town meetings that one member of this board has been bragging about to allow more residents to speak. That's not true. Residents are not allowed to speak at a town hall meeting. I don't know if any of you have ever been to town hall meetings, but you usually can get up and speak. The message is clear. The majority of this board feels residents should be seen but not heard. The value of Speak Out is that others will maybe hear something they didn't know was an issue and can get involved. Finally, telling the board members they can ask questions is inexcusable, that they can't talk to us. I'll move this along. The limiting of board members to 2 questions is also inexcusable. And the corporate board is forgetting that the residents are paying. Are they better off now than before you took office? I don't think so. Why was it such a problem to get the CEO's salary? Why did people have to fight to get that when it went from $200,000 to $415,000, 6 weeks paid vacation, 40 paid days of training, 5% annual raise potential in the cost of living? Really? When people are having trouble with affordability? How could you treat duly elected reps from Oakland Mills, Long Reach, and River Hill like personnel? They are not personnel. You are not personnel, and if you don't know that, you really need to get a better legal opinion. You should not have done that in a closed meeting. You have to have a public meeting on these things that impact the village. They don't just impact 3 villages, guys. They impact all of Columbia, because their voices were fighting for residents, and you've taken that away. Thank you.
Thank you,
I hope
Ginny.
you'll change your behavior.
Next up is Sheldon Richter. Followed by Sheldon is Jillian Crane, and after Jillian is Hal Kassoff. Sheldon, is Sheldon online?
I don't see anyone.
I don't see Sheldon online, so I'll make note. Jillian Crane, And then Hal Kastoff, sorry if I'm saying the name incorrectly, and then Alex Hakimian.
Hakimian.
Sorry. Hakimian, sorry, very bad. Jillian, sorry.
Good evening. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak tonight. I am a resident of Columbia since 1991. I have lived in Oakland Mills since 2006. I voted for the representatives before and currently with Karen Emery. I have had nothing but good relations with Karen. She keeps us informed. She sends us newsletters. She holds open houses. She's very open and transparent and has always represented the residents' issues as far as I can see. The board has removed her for what is considered egregious activity, but none of that was presented to me as a resident to indicate why my vote and my, for my representative was no longer appropriate. I found out after the fact, anything of this nature that is this serious about somebody I voted for and have relied on should have been done in public where we could see and hear everything that was being discussed, and it was not. I am appalled that this action was taken by Fiat. The second issue is that I understand some of the issues have to do with finances. I'm going to say briefly that, yes, I saw that the CEO is supposed to get $415,000 and all the other perks that were said. I worked for Social Security for 40 years. The current commissioner of Social Security's salary is $179,000. The actuary, who gets more, gets between $200,000 and $300,000. The President of the United States gets $400,000, not $415,000, $400,000. The senators get $174,000. Two of them represent our entire state. The pro tem gets more than that, as do the minority and majority leaders, but they're still under $200,000.
1 minute.
Cabinet members get $250,000. I am absolutely shocked that this was done. I simply do not understand the finances, and the board has not presented this to me as a resident who pays for all of this so that I can understand why it's reasonable. I really want to know, and I really think this should all be done, first off, I think you should rescind the expulsions until it can all be done out in the open. Thank you.
Next, we have Al Kassoff, followed by Alex
Hakimian.
Hakimian, and then Benjamin Franco. Hal?
My name is Hal Kassoff. My wife and I have lived in Columbia for 55 years. I retired from a 54-year career, during which I served on numerous boards. My retirement goal of staying engaged, remaining relevant, and giving back is being fulfilled by serving on boards of directors of several nonprofits with colleagues I respect, even though we don't always agree. One sign of a healthy board is that different perspectives and viewpoints are not only tolerated, but welcomed, so that all aspects of an issue are considered. I've briefly served, and I emphasize briefly by my own choice, I've briefly served on boards where differences and debate were not welcome. I chose not to stay long. These boards were dominated either by a manipulative CEO who would reward allies and resist those who questioned their proposals or actions, or they were boards dominated by a clique of members who were the power center not to be challenged. In some cases, it was both, a manipulative CEO and a power clique on the board who would roll over those who disagreed with them. Actions of this board to push out duly elected members and the way it was engineered by a power clique is a stain on your record and your reputation that will be enduring unless cooler heads prevail, and they did not prevail tonight, unfortunately. The actions
must be reversed rather than have the matter resolved in the courts. If the members removed from the board
1 minute.
are restored to their positions by the actions of a judge, the civil war in this community will continue, and the people paying the price will be the residents of Columbia, all of us. On the other hand, if the banished board members reclaim their seats, because the majority that ran them off, as we witnessed tonight, comes to realize that what appeared as a short-term victory was and will continue to be for the long run self-destructive to the board, to the Columbia Association, and most importantly to the people of Columbia, then it's possible that the wounds may begin to heal and the remaining scars will be reminders of the need for civility, as you have on your poster, the need for civility when we disagree or simply dislike the policies or even the personality of a fellow board member.
Can I ask you to wrap
In
up
some-
your overtime?
The off-ramp, my last sentence. The off-ramp to this crisis is to take the high road rather than double down on a descending spiral where in the end, everyone loses.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Alex Hakimian, followed by Benjamin Franco, then Mary Klein. Alex, and I'm very sorry about your last name that I can't pronounce.
It's pronounced Hakimian. Okay. My name is Alex Hakimian. I'm not an attorney, but having previously been elected to CA's Board of Directors for 9 years, I'm very familiar with what authority the CA Board has and does not have. I'm also very familiar with the state laws that govern what CA must do and not do. I ask that you reconsider the actions you're taking to oust 3 elected board members. People in our community believe that the board has made several major mistakes. First, you have 3 separate meetings tonight. Meeting 1 is the Columbia Council meeting. Meeting 2 is a members meeting. And meeting 3 is a board of directors meeting that we're having right now. You posted agendas on CA website for tonight's first and second meetings that did not allow people to speak at those meetings. However, the Maryland Homeowners Association Act states that any and all open meetings must have a designated period for lot owners' comments. And people are upset that the board did not give them that opportunity to speak at the previous meeting when you ousted the 3 board members. People shouldn't have to wait until this meeting to speak when many of their comments would refer to the right of Columbia Council members and members of CA to vote and to be elected as directors at the previous meeting. Second, when people read in CA's charter and bylaws that the board does not have any authority to remove and prevent the ability of elected Columbia Council members who are members of the Columbia Association to vote in the members' meeting, they did not have that vote, and have the right to participate in that meeting, and they weren't given that right. Third, people read in CA's charter and bylaws that once a candidate is elected to the Columbia Council, they shall be elected as directors. You'll hear this over and over again, and it sounds like we're speaking to people with deaf ears. People believe your motion to remove them is a violation of the charter and bylaws. Fourth, people believe that the CA ethics policy has been weaponized by a faction of board members who want to remove other board members, not for any real ethics issues, but simply because they have had differences on policy issues. This year, the attempt to remove 3 elected board members has made many people upset. That is getting much worse now, and that they want it stopped once and for all.
10 seconds.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Benjamin Franco, followed by Mary Klein, and then Daniel Hajjad. Hajdu. Is Benjamin here? Oh, do we have Benjamin online? No?
Doesn't appear so.
Okay. Mary?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Is there some way to check and see if there's anyone online, or is
Yeah,
there
do we-
a technical issue?
Yeah, can we
Because
just
it's
double
been
check?
pretty universal. I'm getting concerned.
Agreed. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna have staff, thank you, Bill. We're gonna have staff look into that. Okay, so I believe that puts us to Mary Klein, and then followed will be Daniel and then Keith. Mary?
Good evening. My name is Mary Klein. I've lived in Oakland Mills for 26 years, I think now. Okay. All right. How's that? A little better? All right. There are three issues I would like the board to act upon immediately. First, reinstate Representatives Avery, Emery, and Greenberg, effective immediately, pending the outcome of the lawsuit in the Howard County District Court. Second, disclose all connections between the board members and the firm of Liff, Walsh, and Simmons, and describe the process by which that firm was selected to advise the Ethics Committee. If Mr. Berwinger is present, the gentleman who conducted the initial investigation and then chose not to rule against himself in your secondary investigation, I would like to hear from him, and I'd like to hear from him tonight. And third, describe what remedy will be afforded the residents of Oakland Mills, Long Reach, and River Hill, pending the findings of the court. These residents cannot remain unrepresented. I apologize. I have ALS, so I'm a little shaky. Besides the loss of representation, everybody hear me? Yeah. The allegations of bad faith simply aren't proportionate to the actions taken by the board. I encourage everyone here and everyone listening to read the full transcript of the investigation. In the meantime, I believe this is taxation without representation. And I encourage residents of these villages to consider whether they are obliged to pay their dues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next we have Daniel. No? Say it again. Okay. Next we have Daniel, followed by Keith Klein, followed by Reagan Mercer. Daniel. I have it listed as Daniel's in person. Okay, we'll keep moving. Keith Klein. I'm sorry, is Daniel here? Yeah. Daniel had. Yes, sorry, yep.
So yeah, my name is Dan Hoyto. I grew up in Columbia, and yeah, I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm here to demand that the three village representatives, including my representative, Karen Emery, be officially restored to their elected positions on the board. I think people have sort of already touched on this again, but it feels like the secret of power without legal or popular support is out. It's to simply ignore the laws, the public, democratic procedures, and then trump up procedural rules and continue to claim legitimacy. Then you just do whatever you want and consolidate power, right? That's the opinion people have of this board right now. And it's my opinion, so I have to say, rightly so. Other people said people are very upset. That doesn't cover it. Does not cover it at all. Pissed off is what people are, okay? And to really express what people are thinking, I'd have to go further, and I heard that the rules were spreading false information or personal attacks will get you kicked out. If only those rules applied to the board members. I heard someone else say that it seems like residents are thought to be seen but not heard, or wanted to be seen but not heard. Actually, I think it's worse. It's they wanted to be pay assessment and then just fade away. That's not going to happen.
1 minute.
I don't have much more. Also, it's somebody else mentioned the apparent self-destruction of the Columbia Association, and you know, it's bad enough. I have to worry. I have to wonder if that's actually the goal. The Columbia Association has stood in the way of various interests, especially landed interests, for a while. And I know in the past people have suggested that Columbia be incorporated and we get rid of the CA, which I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I feel like the motive is that the CA is just not easily manipulated until now.
I'm sorry, your time's expired. Can you conclude?
Yeah, done. Contempt for residents, contempt for the Columbia Association. Don't be surprised when contempt is returned.
Thank you. Next, we have Keith Klein, followed by Reagan Mercer, and then Paul Werczynski. Keith?
Hi, I'm Keith Klein. I'm a resident of Oakland Mills. I haven't conducted any interviews or research or investigations. Obviously, I know nothing personally about people's motives or why things were entered into what actions. But I did read all 82 pages of the documents that were posted about this, and I do have a few observations. I mean, first of all, the board chair presented a memorandum to the board, including the CEO, that unconditionally stated Mr. Greenberg assigned ratings of 0 on multiple evaluation factors. Now, the legal findings offered a bunch of excuses and, you know, dismissals of why that was relevant, but it doesn't change the fact that I believe Mr. Sullivan did violate the Code of Business Conduct to, you know, some small extent. So that he not only gets away with that without even a slap on the wrist, but gets to remove his outspoken opponents as a result, it's really appalling. I mean, that's just appalling to me. Second, I have to agree with the board member who said that having Mr. Berwinger, the lawyer who oversaw the first investigation, also conduct the counter investigation is like a fox guarding the chicken coop. Did the ethics committee really believe that he would disagree with his previous opinion? I also don't agree with Mr. Berwinger's conclusion that the board members under investigation were uncooperative. I think they were rationally cautious. If you expected that such an extreme conclusion to this matter would go unchallenged, you should have at least arranged an independent investigator for the second query.
1 minute.
So finally, I live in Oakland Mills. I found Karen Emery to be an open-minded, public-spirited, duly elected representative for Oakland Mills, and I thought she's been very communicative and did a good job. So I find it ironic that when my Columbia Association dues come July, that I will be facing, as Mary put it earlier, taxation without representation on July 2026. Funny about that. So I think I might just invite my Oakland Mills neighbors to join me in a symbolic tea party. And, you know, we'll bring a big tub of water and all their own CA bills.
Thank you. Next, we have Reagan Mercer, then Paul Verchinsky, followed by Dick Bolton. Reagan?
My name is Regan Mercer, and I was born and raised in King's Contrivance, and I live in Oakland Mills. I appreciate the effort you have made to hear us out. For years, CA has struggled with board members who did not take their fiduciary duty of the organization seriously, who behaved in a manner that would have gotten them fired with a no rehire note by any org with a functional HR, and its lack of any guardrails to curb malfeasance and unscrupulous behavior. I was pleased when a code of conduct and a solid plan for holding people accountable to their fiduciary duties through an ethics board was put in place. Ethics is not a preference, it is a necessity. After a careful reading of all the easily accessible public documents, I realized that what happened bore little relationship to what I was being told happened online and through social media. I have lost a representative because she chose to be unethical. I am appalled by her behavior. My frustration and fury are aimed at her. You can agree with someone's positions on policies without signing on to their bad behavior and abusing the ethics board to retaliate against board members who attempted to hold Eric accountable for his failure to fulfill his fiduciary duty. The damage she has done to this association by behaving in a way that would get him fired if we had HR, and wasting our money through the direct action and making CA such an unpleasant place to work, we have to add hazard pay to add usual salaries to get qualified people. And instead of taking accountability, they chose to join in his unscrupulous and unethical behavior, and now instead of taking accountability for that, they're trying to drag out this process even further through public opinion and lawsuit, ensuring that they will block the democratic process to elect their replacements. In my mid-40s, I should perhaps no longer be appalled by the number of people who are willing to support unethical and unscrupulous behavior just because they like someone and the level of contempt they hold for ethics requirements.
1 minute.
But I confess I am surprised by the number of people, including people running for county executive, willing to throw good governance and the necessary guardrails of democracy and board governance against bad actors aside just because they like someone and agree with their policy positions. Sometimes what is right is not what is popular, and doing the unpopular thing is hard, especially when your actions to hold members accountable for their unethical and damaging behavior are rebranded via social media campaign as an assault on democracy despite all the facts. I ask you to stand strong. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paul Verchinsky, followed by Dick Bolton, then Chow Wu. Paul is here for a group, so that's 5 minutes.
What group? Just out of curiosity.
Howard County Citizens Association. Paul?
Good evening. I am Paul Verchinsky, a resident of Oakland Mills since 1973. I come before you as board member of the Howard County Citizens Association, HCCA, authorized to speak for HCCA. CA is a homeowners association that has a significant role for the residents of Columbia. It is also subject to the Maryland Homeowners Act. Prior to rebranding, CA was known as, to us old timers, as the Columbia Parks and Recreation Association. I personally have served on the Oakland Mills board for 6 years, so I am very familiar with our annual CA representative election. I've also been appointed and served on the CA Senior Advisory Committee as a chair, which led to the adoption of the CA Board of an older adult plan in 2014. That plan is still in effect today. I reviewed your Board of Directors webpage, and it troubles the HCCA. You note that, quote, your Board of Directors is a group of residents elected by their respective villages, end of quote. The operative word is elected. You have photos of these volunteer residents duly elected except for Oakland Mills, Long Reach, and River Hill, which are shown as vacant. HCCA is perplexed since these 3 villages, along with the other 7, had been elected by their respective villages and seated on the CA board previously. No reasons are given to the residents of Oakland Mills, Long Reach, and River Hill as to why they were disenfranchised. HCCA, founded in 1961, has fostered good government policies in Howard County government and CA and are concerned about resident disenfranchisement. This amounts to 1/3 of Columbia's villages, representing about 40,000 residents. We would like some answers from the CA Homeowners Association regarding resident disenfranchisement in the affairs of CA. As all of you know, I and other lien payers work through our CA village representatives on CA issues of concern. Oakland Mills, Long Reach, and River Hill have all elected our CA representatives and expect to see them seated tonight for the coming CA board year. You have disenfranchised us. You have stated as chair that the 3 duly elected representatives constitute, quote, a clear and present danger, quote, end of quote, to CA. This is straight out of Clancy's novel on aggression leading to war. This is ridiculous. Or is CA stating that they are at war with its villages? We would remind you again that you are subject to the Maryland Homeowners Act, which addresses elections. Your board of directors website states, quote, your input matters, end of quote. Concerning speakouts, our question is, does it indeed really matter?
1 minute.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Next, we have Dick Bolton. Following that will be Chow Wu and then Joel Horowitz. Yeah.
Good evening. Dick Bolton, Dorsey Search. I've got it right in front of me here. Okay. I spent 6 years on the CA board. Part of that time as a vice chair. And my focus during much of that time was the ethics code. In fact, I even wrote a chunk of it. I was very concerned then about the possible weaponization of the code, and I wanted to make sure that we were protected against that. When I look at the present situation, I can only say that the current ethics program is in violation of CA's charter and bylaws. CA board has no authority under those documents to expel board members. Even in the case of gross malfeasance such as embezzlement or fraud or other criminal offenses, the board can only request that a member's village replace their representative, but it is up to each village to determine their course of action. But that's not what brings me here tonight. I want to talk about the CA president's new 6-year contract. He was hired with a generous 3-year contract that had only 2 more years to run. But then, out of the blue, an outrageous new contract was suddenly appeared. The new contract provides an astonishing $415,000 salary with a 5% bonus opportunity, an annual cost of living adjustments, plus 6 weeks of paid vacation. There's more, but it's all been redacted out of the document that is available for the public to see. And once you've raised the CEO compensation, the salary ceiling for all of the senior staff rises as well. It's no wonder that deficits are
1 minute.
anticipated in the coming years, and the stage is being set for proposed assessment increases. I'm told that this irresponsible new contract matches comparable positions in the area, but no one can tell me what those comparable positions are. While CA has an annual budget of $91 million, our county exec manages a $2.5 billion budget and only earns $250,000. Reston CEO is also in that $250,000 range. It is my belief that only these 3 board members who oppose the new contract, and it wouldn't surprise me to discover that they may be the same 3 who have already been expelled by the board. And they're being punished not for any wrongdoing, but only for repeatedly refusing to become members of a captured board.
Your time's expired. Can you?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Chow Wu, then Joel Hurwitz, and then Tara Capino. Chow?
Good evening. Clear? We got so many seniors sitting in the back. Thank you very much for sitting so long. My name is Chow, House Delegate from District 9A, part of my district, Columbia, and a former fellow board member on this board. I'm representing myself here today. It is both sad and disappointing to see what we're coming to the current state of affairs of Columbia Association, which I care so much, and so many sitting in the audience care so much as well. This is unprecedented. Some of those seniors, thank you very much for standing for so long. Thank you. We have more than 10 fellow CA board alumni sitting in the audience. Some of them I have not seen for a long time, almost a decade. I'm so glad they're healthy and as young as before. There's so many things I could say. I'm not going to discuss the ethics itself or the lengthy accusation and counter-accusation. Frankly, I don't agree with some of their actions either. However, I'm here to discuss the democratic process and the voting power. I just want to highlight one thing here. For a 10-member board of 5-0-0 vote to get rid of 3 of your fellow board members is very troubling. And probably it is illegal. At least you have to have a majority, which is 7 votes, for such an important decision. That math is not right. If that reasoning is taken to its extreme, it could create a situation here. For example, if 9 board members, 1 versus 8, were considered involved in a dispute or set up to be in a dispute, those 9 members are excluded from voting. That will leave only 1 remaining board member eligible to vote. Under the logic applied to the current situation, 1 board member could vote to remove 8 other fellow board members. So 1 board member could remove 8 fellow board members. 1 remove 8. You need a majority to do anything. I really don't know what else to say. This cannot be a reasonable or democratic interpretation of the board's removal process. Delegate Jen Teresa and myself asked the State Attorney General's office opinion. We are waiting for their returning opinion. If the state finds it illegal to remove these 3 board members, you should fire your legal counsel. At least, right? Some of you should resign too. For anyone in the audience, if you have any legislative idea to make CA better, please contact our office. I would love to be the bill sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joel Hurwitz, then Tara Capino, and then Russell Squat. Joel?
Good evening. Can you hear me? No. Good evening. Can you hear me? Yes.
For the record, Joel Hurwitz, member of the Harper's Choice Board, speaking for myself. First of all, what speaking at a town hall you can do is this, that I agree with Nancy McCord, except for the statements on pools, Virginia Thomas, Julian Crane, Hal Kazoff, Alex Kimian, most of what Mary Klein said, most of what Daniel Heido said, most of what Keith Klein said, what Paul Verchinsky said. What Dick Bolton said, especially about salaries, especially what Alan Klein said at the beginning and following Chow Wu as a delegate, and the fact that they're members, the council, former members of the council, former members of the CA board, former delegates here. You're opening yourselves up to having legislative fix to the HOA Act, along with the other half dozen things that already relate to Columbia. I started coming to these meetings over a decade ago because I started seeing that the policies were seeming to override the governing documents. And every 6 to 12 months, the ethics policy kept coming up and back. And I kept saying, as Dick Bolton said, and you've heard earlier from Alan, how it violates your governing documents, which you could amend if you wanted. As I've previously written, I said the Columbia Council meeting should be the first meeting. I will thank you for having it as first meeting this year. It took me about 4 or 5 years of writing that. However, as the General Counsel said last week at your orientation, the Columbia Council continues to hold its annual organization meeting to fulfill its formal role as contemplated by the city and village's governing documents, because as he said,
1 minute.
It's all embedded in the governing documents of the villages and it can't be removed. Unfortunately, you didn't do the one thing that you're supposed to do at that meeting earlier, was to nominate from among its membership persons to be elected to serve on the board of directors of CA. For example, as most of the articles of incorporation in third 3 all seem to be similar, basically in scope, that it's to provide an organization through which the owners of the property in and the residents of the property shall be represented by a member of the association, the Columbia Council, an unincorporated association, the membership which shall be composed of representatives of various associations in Columbia, which have been approved by CA, said council in turn being entitled to nominate from among its membership persons to be elected and serve on the board of CA, all as provided in the Articles of Incorporation of CA. There's nothing in the Articles of Incorporation of CA about qualifications for office, including being kicked off or running for office. So again, you violated your documents, which you refused to amend for the last decade and a half.
Tara Capino, then Russell, and then Deb Young. Is Tara here? Cara, I'm sorry. Capino? Anybody? Can you hear me?
No, you're muted, dude.
Yep, that'll do it. Sorry, is Tara Capino here? Sorry. She's coming. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize my mic was off. So after Tara, it'll be Russell and then Deb Young.
Hi, I'm Tara Capino. I live in the village of River Hill. I'm speaking out here tonight. This better? Yes. I'm speaking out here tonight to condemn in the strongest possible terms the recent actions taken by the CA board at the April 23rd board meeting. These actions resulted in the unjust and unfounded removal of my elected representative of River Hill, as well as 2 other members of the board. I am asking that Eric, Karen, and Reg be given a fair and open hearing and be restored to their respective board seats promptly. Thank you.
Next, I have Russell Swadek. And then after Russell, it'll be Deb Young and then Joan Lankos.
No, Jillian Trotter.
I'm sorry, Jillian Trotter withdrew earlier today, and we didn't update the slide, so apologies. Russell?
Russ Swatek, Longreach. It appears that the CA board directors have not looked at or have ignored the CA charter and thus have done things in direct violation of it. From the CA charter, the members and the directors of the corporation shall be as follows. Number one, the members of the corporation shall be the Columbia Council representatives, as provided in paragraph 3 below. Each member shall be entitled to 1 vote. In paragraph 3, if a member of any incorporated association, i.e. the CA villages, remove or recall their Columbia Council representative through a procedure authorized by the charter or by laws of the incorporated association, the members of the incorporation shall remove each former Columbia Council representative from office as a member and director of the corporation, as provided by the bylaws. That means that only a village can remove their council representatives, not the CA board. Furthermore, it's clear that the CA charter states that each Columbia Council representative is entitled to their 1 vote. The bylaws are derived from the charter, so if there is a conflict between the CA charter and the bylaws, then the charter rules. I was on the CA board of director and the chairman in 2015. Several other board of directors wanted to remove another director. In following the charter, I showed them that they could not deny another director from voting. Now 3 of the directors were denied their vote and were forced to leave. This was an illegal move. Since this illegal move changed the composition of the board votes, votes since that time are invalid. I suggest that several CA board directors who did not look at their CA charter and did try to remove the 3 directors recently be removed as their Columbia Council representative from their respective village boards. Since the CA attorney gave bad advice, he should also be removed. And the CA president, who allowed such disastrous results for the people of Columbia, should also be removed.
Time's expired. Thank you. Next we have Deb Young, and then Joan Lenkos and Mary Kay Siggety. Deb?
Good evening. My name is Deb Young, and I represent 5 of the Columbia villages, including River Hill. And I serve on the county council and have lived in this wonderful place for 38 years. I am here tonight to urge you to do the right thing. Invite the 3 board members you removed from the Columbia Association Board in clear violation of the board's and villages' bylaws back to the board table this evening. The villages elect their Columbia Council representatives. None of the 3 villages have taken a vote to remove their Columbia Council representatives. The board's actions have effectively disenfranchised the villages of Long Reach, Oakland Mills, and River Hill. I'm not here tonight to argue about the underlying claims. Frankly, that's not necessary because the vote for removal is so clearly null and void. First and foremost, the Maryland Homeowners Association Act required you to take this vote in public, in open. You falsely rely on an exception to 11B for personnel matters. However, it is settled law, regardless of what you've been told, that corporate directors are not personnel. Look no further than the Internal Revenue Code 26, Code of Federal Regulations 31.312 D1. Corporate officers who are paid for their services are personnel. Directors of corporations, officers who are not paid, are not employees, not personnel. Your vote to remove directors should have been made in public.
1 minute.
It is clear that as board members, you do not all enjoy each other's company. But removal because of ethics complaints, you've gone too far. Generally, this is not the type of action that leads to removal. The Columbia Association Board of Directors could continue to refuse to seat these duly elected officials and risk a protracted legal battle, more bad publicity, and the ire of 3 villages that no longer have representation on the board to which they were elected. As you are now aware, your 3 peers have filed a suit against you. You have the right to defend yourselves. You have the right to fight. You have the right to retain any attorney you wish. Or you could do the right thing tonight. Seat these 3 board members who are in attendance here and allow them to take their rightful seat at the table. I respectfully request that you do the right thing and invite these board members back to the seats to which they were elected to fill.
Please. Next is Joan Lankos and then Mary Kay Siggety.
Hi. I'm Joan Lankos. I live in the village of Hickory Ridge. I'm a Columbia resident for the past 50 years. As a former CA board member, I am aware of your fiduciary responsibilities to the private corporation that is known as the Columbia Association. I am grateful that the board developed and passed an ethics policy that holds each member accountable for their actions. I am thankful that you followed the process required by the policy in dealing with a difficult situation. Anyone who questioned whether you did the right thing has not read the 82-page report on the issue. There have been some questions as to whether the CA Board of Directors is covered under personnel policies. It seems to me that discussing the report and acting upon it in a closed meeting was appropriate to protect privacy and reputations of those who may have violated the ethics policy and those affected by the results of those actions. Some have questioned whether information about possible action should have been released ahead of time. How could that happen? Because the final decision may have been different than what was recommended. Some folks in Longreach, Oakland Mills, and River Hill state that they no longer have representation on the CA board. There have been at least 4 occasions in recent years where CA board members in King's Contrivance, Longreach, and Town Center have resigned and been replaced by the respected village boards by simple appointment of a new representative and not by an election. Just a few years ago, the council member from Harper's Choice was removed from the CA board for an ethics violation and replaced by that board in just a few weeks. There are processes in place to accomplish these appointments. No village should claim a lack of representation when it is up to the village board to appoint a new council member. And again, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Mary Kay Siggety.
Good evening, members of the CA board. Good evening. Yes. I'm Mary Kay Siggety. I live in Wild Lake. I am honored to be represented on this board by Bill Santos. Thank you, Bill. I'm also, when I decided to sign up and speak, I was asked what I wanted to speak about. And I wanted to speak about ethics. To me, ethics is the most important thing that you all have to accommodate, respect, and act on. Because in being ethical people, being aware of what your responsibilities are, leads to you being able to be the board of directors that this corporation needs. I am grateful to everybody for having taken the time to actually work on an ethics policy. It took years. Yes, Dick Bolton, I remember you working on it. It took years. The decisions that were made this past year are for the benefit of the corporation and ultimately for our benefit. We can be certain that the people who are on this board are acting in an ethical manner with integrity. I think it's important, and I'm here to say, I've sat on your side of the table in multiple ways. And I know that decisions are hard. I know that investigation has to happen. I know that thought has to go into this. And I know that it takes courage to make decisions. As you've heard, there are many people here tonight who think you made the wrong decision. I stand here knowing that I do not know everything that you know. I know what you put out to the public. I have confidence that you have all taken the time, the effort, and the thought that it takes to be courageous. And I'm here to thank you for your courage going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to confirm with staff that the folks that we had listed as virtual, we haven't seen them come on, and then just Jillian Trotter, just last call. Nope. Okay. Very good. Well, thank you, everybody. That concludes Residents Speak Out. We're going to take what time is it? We're going to take a 15-minute recess and come back at 9:20.
All right, we need to sign these policies.
All right, we are coming back from recess. If we can get order back in this space. If there are continuing conversations, I'm going to ask if you can take them out in the lobby. We're going to continue the order of our business. So thank you for, again, respecting this space. Item number 4 on the agenda was the policy acknowledgement. I think for Deb, Julia, John, I think everyone did their policy acknowledgement, so we're good. Great. Okay. So we will now move on to item 5. We will conduct the election of the chair and vice chair for the FY27 Board of Directors and in turn Columbia Council and members of the Columbia Association. As a reminder to the board for the procedures according to the board operating procedures. To be eligible for chair or vice chair, a board member must be nominated by a board member, and that nomination must be seconded. Candidates may not nominate themselves or second their own nominations. Once all board members have had an opportunity to nominate candidates, the board will proceed to voting. If only one candidate is nominated, no vote is necessary, and that candidate assumes the position they were nominated for. Voting will be conducted by roll call. The acting chair will call on each board member, and each member will state their preferred choice for chair. Only candidates who are properly nominated may receive votes. The candidate receiving the most votes will be elected. I'm going to pause real quick because I don't know about other folks, but I'm a little distracted by the volume of noise from the lobby. So it's sounding like it's getting a little better. Okay, it's sounding like it's a little bit better. Okay, thank you everyone, much appreciated. Okay, so with that, I will now open the floor for the nominations for chair. Ashley?
Great. I would like to nominate Colin Sullivan after all of the fantastic work that you have done this past year as chair. I know you've put a lot of extra hours in that are behind the scenes. We're all volunteers on the board as it is, and I know that you have to go well above and beyond, and I would like you to continue as chair.
Ashley has nominated myself. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a second. Are there any other candidates for chair? Going once, going twice, and going 3 times. I'm not hearing other candidates for chair, so therefore, by the board operating procedures, we won't have an election, and I will resume as chair. So thank you all for your faith in me to continue in this role.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Bill. With that, we will now go for the election for vice chair. Is there a nomination on the floor? Ashley?
I would like to nominate Mike, who I know has also put in many extra hours above and beyond, lots of care for the community, and has represented us well.
We have 2 mics on the board.
Go Lieber Such.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, okay. Are there other nominations for vice chair? Going once, going twice, and going 3 times. Hearing no other nominations, Mike Liebersuch is duly elected as vice chair. So we will have Mike as vice chair.
Congratulations.
Very good. All right, we are now going to do the appointment to committees. If the board's okay with it, I'd like to take agenda items 6 and 7 together. Oh man, I did not mean to make a 6-7 joke. Sorry, everybody. But I plan. No. So if we can take the appointments to committees and the selection of CA representatives to the IAT Board of Directors together, is there any particular objection to doing that? Okay, great. What I'd like to do first is to just simply gauge interest in what board members might be interested in serving on those committees. Last week at our information session, I think staff walked through the purpose and role and responsibilities for each of those separate committees, but happy to go through in detail if if any board members have any other questions. I also want to share the dates that I have for committees if it does impact folks. The Risk Management Committee dates for FY27, they're tentatively scheduled. They meet quarterly for a half hour in closed session before a regularly scheduled board meeting. And again, those are currently planned for Thursday, July 23rd, Thursday, October 22nd, Thursday, December 10th, and Thursday, March 25th. The audit committee for FY27, again, the currently planned dates are Wednesday, June 10th, which is both the audit committee orientation and the FY27 audit plan, Tuesday, July 21st, Tuesday, September 22nd, Tuesday, December 8th, and Tuesday, March 23rd. The Inner Arbor Trust Board meeting dates for FY27, my understanding is that the schedule is not confirmed yet, but typically once every other month on the first Monday. Is that, okay. Any questions about schedule or role or purpose of these committees and IAT? Okay, so again, I just want to take quick interest first. Did you have a question, Mike?
No, I was going to express interest in, let's get a different way of doing it.
No. How did you want to propose? Because I'm just going to do round robin. Okay. Delilah, do you have interest or preference?
I'd like to try audit.
Okay. Ashley?
Risk and IAT.
Okay. Galibersuch?
Yeah, I'm willing to do both IAT and risk. And I don't care if I'm on risk, but I do think I should be on IAT.
Okay. Mike?
I'm interested in risk.
Okay. Risk and Bill?
Audit, please.
Audit, okay. I'm scribbling quickly, and I'm sorry that we just came out of recess, but if I could have 5 minutes to just make sure that I have it all squared away. So we're going to take we'll come back at, I probably won't need 5 minutes. We'll do 9:30. We'll come back at 9:30 so that I can organize this. Okay, so thanks everybody for that moment as I play with Excel and make sure that I have all of this correct. What we're going to do, so I'm going to share the committee assignments. So for risk, we're going to have Mike McGarity and Ashley. For IAT, we are going to have Mike and Ashley, and for audit, we're going to have Bill and Delilah. Okay, so those are committee assignments for now. Okey doke. All right, so next on the agenda is the reappointment of officers of the Columbia Association. Sean and John, do you want to add any context for this?
No, this is just the annual authorizing or appointment of the officers of the organization, and they are in the packet.
Is there a motion?
A motion to approve the resolution in the packet as stated.
Second.
Second from Mike Asia. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Let me get my column here. So first was from Ashley, second was from Acacia, and the vote is for the reappointment of officers. A vote yes will pass the resolution as it was presented in the packet. Galibersuch?
Yes.
Delilah?
Yes.
McGarity?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That is 6 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstention, and 0 absent. I'm sorry, 1 absent. Okay. In the packet, folks will find the schedule of the Board of Directors meetings for FY 2027. That is in there for reference. That schedule and cadence was passed by the FY 26 board. So we now move to item 10, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah,
From Bill, from Ashley, is there any opposition? At 9:32, we are done our meeting's business. Thank you, everybody.
Right on time.